You never really know who you're talking to online. The person on the other end of the internet connection could be anyone, even a killer. Now today I want to tell you about the gruesome triple murder of a 15-year-old girl's family and the sickening fate that her fake boyfriend had in mind for her. I'm Amy, and this is True Crime Recaps. This is the only channel bringing you all the crime in half the time. We dig deep to bring you all the facts so you don't need to put off work to dig through a dozen news articles. Now, if you like the idea of doing less work for more information, it would mean a lot if you hit that like button and remember to subscribe so you never miss a recap. Now, let's get on with this crazy story. On Friday, November 25th, around 10:30 a.m., police in Riverside, California got a call from a concerned neighbor. They lived on a quiet cul-de-sac in a middle-class suburb where everyone knows everyone. The kind where an out-of-place car really sticks out like a sore thumb. So this concerned neighbor told 911 that a man and a girl were fighting near a red Kia Soul. They seemed distressed, her especially, and they both got in the car and drove away. They didn't recognize the man or the car, but they knew the 15-year-old girl. She was Brooke Winnick's daughter, and because her name hasn't been made public, we're just gonna call her the girl. Brooke was the single mother of two teenage girls. They lived with Brooke's parents, Mark and Sherry, a few houses down in the cul-de-sac. According to police, the girl's sister wasn't home when the call came in, a twist of fate that likely saved her life. So as emergency responders made their way to the scene, another neighbor called about a house fire in the same cul-de-sac. Coincidence? I mean, maybe, but any savvy police officer would know that something strange was going on. And they'd be right. They arrived to find the Winnick house engulfed in flames. The red Kia Soul long gone, but at that point their main concern was smothering the fire. The situation escalated after the fire was out. Inside the house, police found the bodies of Brooke, Mark, and Sherry near the entryway, and they didn't die from the fire or the smoke. They were murdered. Now, one of their neighbors, Sergio Gutierrez, told the New York Post he was watching with binoculars when the bodies were carried out. He claims they were bound and gagged as police laid them on the lawn. Now, one of the women, either Brooke or Sherry, had tape covering their mouth, and all three had their hands tied behind their backs. Riverside police wouldn't expand on the cause of death, and as of this recording, they still haven't, but they call it a very disturbing crime scene. They quickly ruled it a homicide, and the hunt was on for the red Kia Soul, a young teenage girl, and a mysterious man that nobody could identify. Now, several hours later, and about 200 miles northeast of Riverside, police in San Bernardino County spotted the Kia, and they gave chase. The SWAT team showed up to intercept, but the driver led them on a high-speed chase. And then he leaned out the window and shot back at SWAT. Eventually, he peeled off the road and found himself surrounded. Police rescued the teenage girl and opened fire on the driver when he pointed his gun at a helicopter overhead. Now, most articles claim that police shot him dead, but the San Bernardino Sheriff's Department said the fatal wound was self-inflicted. But his death only left more questions. Who was this man? What did he want with this teenage girl? And why did he allegedly kill her family before taking her? Well, our now dead suspect was 28-year-old Austin Lee Edwards. He hailed from North Chesterfield, Virginia, a county nestled south of Richmond. And here's the kicker. He was a Virginia state trooper who just weeks earlier had accepted a new role as a sheriff's deputy. So why did a man who swore to serve and protect decide to drive across the country allegedly hell-bent on taking a 15-year-old girl back to Virginia with him, no matter who stood in his path? Well, the police department didn't see any red flags before hiring him. He passed all the necessary psychological tests to be accepted into the state police and the sheriff's department. And according to Washington County officials, no employers disclosed any troubles, reprimands, or internal investigations about him. But Austin allegedly led a double life. When he wasn't patrolling the streets, he was catfishing Brooke's 15-year-old daughter and possibly others. Police in California and Virginia believe he was posing as a 17-year-old boy and saying and doing God knows what with the teenage girl. Now, catfishing isn't technically illegal, but things get dicey when children and money are involved. If Austin coerced the girl into sending him explicit pictures, then he'd be put in a world of trouble if he were still alive. Now, police have yet to release any transcripts or more information concerning their conversations and how long the relationship lasted. Riverside police did refer to Austin's tactics as grooming. He tricked the girl into telling him her address, and then he drove across the country to do God knows what. But a recent property purchase in Saltville, Virginia might reveal clues about his sick plan. Though Austin paid full price, $80,000 for a 2-bedroom, 1-bath home just hours after it was listed in the first week of October. He bought it sight unseen and asked almost no questions, according to an interview that the former homeowner gave NBC. He moved in on November 14th, just 11 days before he allegedly murdered the Winnick family. And the first thing he did to set up house? He covered the windows with dark car tint. Judging by the photos, it'd be near impossible to see inside. So Austin was either an extremely private guy or he had something twisted to hide. And if it wasn't for those concerned neighbors who called 911 at the first sign of trouble, who's to say how much worse this could have gotten for that 15-year-old girl? As it is, she lost her mom and her grandparents in one fell swoop. Meanwhile, Riverside police are still working through the investigation, trying to understand how it all came to this. At this time, they don't believe the girl had anything to do with the murders or the fire. They believe that he may have asked her for perverted photos and she might have stopped chatting with him, but they don't know when she cut it off, if for sure she cut it off, or if he allegedly killed her family to punish her. Now, Austin's death throws a massive monkey wrench into the investigation, though. You can't get a confession from a dead man. So they'll need to find physical evidence tying him to the Winnick house and digital evidence of a perverse online relationship. So with the facts of the case still tightly under wraps, let's try piecing together a few of the stories so far. So Sergio, the next door neighbor with the binoculars, claims that he saw the red Kia Soul about a month before the murders. Now, if it was the same car, that means Austin drove over 5,000 miles there and back twice in 4 weeks. After all, he had to return to Virginia to move into the Saltville home. But the triple murder and house fire in California makes us question whether he had a real plan. If he'd been grooming this girl, wouldn't it be easy to lure her outside without the family noticing? Maybe she caught on and ran back inside when a creepy 28-year-old man arrived at her house. I mean, we know Austin was armed, so perhaps he came into the house, zip-tied the adults, and shot them before leaving with the girl. It's plausible, but that seems like it would maybe take a long time. I mean, why bind and gag the adults if you, A, don't plan on staying, and B, plan on killing them anyway? Riverside police have plenty of evidence to sift through, many witnesses to interview, and several Virginia officers to question. Sadly, Christmas cookies won't be the same this year. They won't be ever again.
And that's your recap.
Thanks for hanging out with us today.
If you like getting all the crime in half the time, go ahead and tap that subscribe button and the bell so you never miss a story.
We're here Wednesdays, Saturdays, and Sundays, but don't go away. Catch up on more recaps right here, right now.
Until next time, take care.